So here is an interesting insight into how you think about cause and effect in the stock market. So let me give you an example from what is actually happening right now, so it's also relevant to your market view. The USD INR, and I've published the chart yesterday, shows an ending diagonal pattern over the last year or more. And what does this ending diagonal pattern really mean? So immediately when you talk about the USD INR ending something, you'd say, okay, the USD INR is going to start coming down. So will the USD INR coming down mean that, well, if the rupee starts to strengthen, that will encourage FIIs to actually bring in more money, and it might actually change the tide of outflows into inflows if the rupee starts to strengthen. Now, this is a cause and effect relationship which we think is usually true. We think that if this happens, then that is what will happen, and usually that is how we also read into news events that face us every day, uh, whether they're social events or whether they are public news of certain actions taking place, particular to even a company. We often relate them that, yeah, this is the news and that is why the stock has behaved in this particular way. However, when you're an Elliott wave analyst and when you're someone who studies behavior, you change it completely on its head. You switch the entire equation and you say the effect is actually the outcome. So it's not that the news caused this to happen. It's not the strengthening of the rupee that leads to the improvement in FII flows. It's the change in flows in the mindset that causes the rupee to strengthen. And when we study Elliott wave analysis, which is basically a behavioral study of price patterns, repetitive price patterns of mass behavior, what we are really saying is that when we see such a pattern and we say, oh, this is going to end, it's going to reverse, we're not saying that, oh, it reverses, then FIs will bring in money, but it's a prediction that FII flows are going to change. And that is why the currency is showing a topping pattern. It shows the change in mental mindset and behavior happening at this point of time that is likely to reverse behavior at a larger scale. Now, this topic has been, taken into great detail by Robert Prechter, who's done a lot of work on socionomics, looking at news and events. Essentially, we end up saying, okay, if the markets are in an uptrend, they are because this news has come in. But essentially, an uptrend never starts on positive news, because the markets are at the bottom on bad news. So it's only after the trend changes and things start to improve that you start reading positive news. And the reason for that is that it's only when the markets have changed their mood that positive outcomes start showing up. So the market itself is determinant, or rather reflects the mood that eventually results in news, which is why we often say that bear markets often a cause of large degree bear market wars and social unrest in various countries. But as the equation really is that it's the change in mood which drives you into a bear market that eventually causes bad things to show up, which is in the form of whether it's wars or social events, or even something like a pandemic. And which is why many times the news itself, the negative news flow, is the cause of the bottom. When you enter wave C of a bear market, when we say that in Elliott wave sense, that is when all the worst news really comes in, and then one eventually causes the climactic bottom or the panic bottom in markets, and then things start to improve from there. So very important understanding of how things work, and I put it in the context of USD INR because the pattern or the chart that I've published on social media essentially showing an ending diagonal pattern on USD INR that has been developing for a long time, and we've been redrawing the lines thinking, oh, when is this going to complete? And you're still seeing FII outflows from India, and the big question, when is that going to change, is going to be reflected first by the currency pair itself, right? When this currency pair starts strengthening, you can rest assured believe that that pattern is about to change. And I think we are getting closer and closer to the cusp of that. In fact, we may be right on the edge of, or the tip of the iceberg as far as changing the foreign institutional behavior towards India is concerned. Let's see if that actually plays out. But hope this educates you a little bit about how we think about markets, how we think about news, because in the end, when you're trading and you read certain news, you should be able to decide how to react or respond to that news flow, whether it's the win of Donald Trump in the recent US elections. Why were the markets down before that and then they suddenly turned around? And these are things that you learn over time. how to react ahead of or around events, and that's when you're actually able to take decisions well ahead of market moves, or along with market moves, and be on the right side. So that's all from me in this very short educational piece, and see you all next time. Thank you.